Shalom. All praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rules well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Ainal. The title of this video is Putin's Victory Day Parade and How Safe is Moscow. But basically, there was a lot of threats coming from Babylon the Great and their proxy, allies, because it's been coming. It's been known now, that basically what Babylon is, using Russia, using Ukraine or helping Ukraine, to fight against Russia, basically. Whatever the case may be. In the news, Donald Trump says, "Oh, this is Biden's war, whatnot," but now this is Trump's war, and Trump has signed an agreement, which was said before that they had a mineral agreement deal where if we sign this deal, they will help militarily. As a matter of fact, it was a good video I seen, and let me see. I'll probably do that next, actually. I don't know. Let me see. See if I can find it. All right, so this was the one.
The war in Ukraine is a U.S. war against Russia being fought through Ukraine. The top of the chain of command are American generals. They are making all of the decisions. The U.S. overthrew the government, handpicked a client regime to take power. How can you mediate a fight that you started and have no intention of committing to peace or diplomacy of any kind? So if you're Russia, of course, you see that as a threat. NATO's existence is to contain Russia and eventually absorb it. Offer Russia everything. We'll recognize Crimea, tell Ukraine they're not entering into NATO. From Russia's point of view, these are meaningless offers. These are things the U.S. has constantly said and then double backed on. Just make them look like they're bloodthirsty, intent on war no matter what you offer them, and it justifies the next step in escalation.
World War III is already happening.
This is a house of cards, and it is in the process of collapsing right now.
You're going to see an economic crash, the likes of which we've never seen.
Who in their right mind would make a deal with someone who baselessly walked away from the last deal? So it's not Iran trying to take over the region. It is Iran trying to avoid becoming the next Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya. There's a long list of nations the U.S. has lied about, invaded, destroyed, and remain destroyed to this day.
How do you figure Russia plays into this? Because, of course, they have very close ties with Israel as well, which cannot be understated. I mean, I think there's like 2 million Russian-speaking Jewish people in Israel. So these are things that they have to balance. And even China seemed to be, there's limited exposure there militarily, at least on the surface. We know that I've seen some photos that show some clearly made in China, equipment, but they only have like 4 warships in the region. And despite how important the oil is there for them, they're not really getting involved. Can you maybe, as we kind of segue the conversation into Eastern Europe, talk a little bit about Russia's role in brokering an Iran deal?
So you mentioned
Right.
Russia's.
So, that guy pretty much explained it at the beginning of the video. So it's a good video. I watched the whole thing. You should watch it and check it out. I'll be right back, though. All right, so yeah, like I was saying, it's now Trump's war, right? So that's the point. You've seen the video. So anyway, this article says, who is coming to Putin's Victory Day parade and how safe is Moscow? And basically there was threats, like I was saying, sent from basically Trump's proxy, which is Ukraine, to Moscow saying, who knows what might happen during your Victory Day parade. Now, this was before the list of attendees, was mentioned. Right, the first scripture I had thought about was Jeremiah 51:30, which I'm gonna get, right? Because Babylon have forborne to fight, right? They don't really want this war, right? And more so the people, the soldiers, everyone is trying to do peace. What everyone is, complaining about, why do they need to go to war? So anyway, so after the threats were sent, the list of attendees started to pile up. Now, this an attack on individuals there like China, Iran, and things like that could start a bigger war with those nations also. So anyway, who is coming to Putin's Victory Day parade and how safe is Moscow? It says for the Russian president, Victory Day is arguably the most important public holiday of the year. For the fourth time, the Moscow military parade will take place without high-level guests and with unprecedented security measures, as Russian authorities fear Kyiv might use the opportunity to attack. It says Ukraine cannot guarantee the safety of foreign officials planning to attend Russia's Victory Day parade in Moscow on Friday. Vladimir Zelensky said. That's the Ukrainian president. It says our position is very simple for all countries traveling to Russia on May 9th. We cannot be held responsible for what happens on the territory of the Russian Federation, the Ukrainian president said on Saturday. It says they are responsible for your safety. We will not provide any guarantees because we do not know what Russia might do on these days. Now, this devil, is obviously just, speaking lies because, these other devils, the Russians, they offered to do a peace on, I believe it was like Easter. It was one of the days was Easter, whatever, a U.S. holiday, whatnot, world holiday, I don't know, and Ukraine didn't listen to it, right? So now Russia is also trying to offer peace again, and same thing might happen where Ukraine just doesn't listen. It says the statement sparked further diplomatic tensions with Slovakia, right, whose Moscow's friendly Prime Minister Robert Fico criticized Zelensky's warning. It says, I reject such threats for security reasons, Fico said on Monday. I fully respect that the safety of participants is an internal matter of the Russian Federation, but if Mr. Zelensky believes that his statements will force foreign delegations not to come, then he is deeply mistaken. So basically there will be, high-level attendees here at this meeting. And Israel is known to attack high-level individuals, with pinpoint accuracy, It says it is unclear if Fico will be attending the parade after the Slovak Prime Minister canceled a few public appearances, including the official Labor Day events. There have been speculations that he might also not appear in Moscow. So anyway, how safe will the parade be? It says last week, Russian President Vladimir Putin proposed a 3-day ceasefire with Ukraine on the dates around that. It says the idea was categorically dismissed by Kyiv, calling it a performance, just a show. It says Zelensky reportedly said the proposal was not a serious attempt to end the war, right? So what they want is people to put down their arms and just surrender, right, to the demand of Esau Edom. The scriptures say, as for his enemies, he puffeth at them. Right, that's what America is now doing as enemy, and he wants to use their spirit tactic to control them. We grab that. Enemies. Psalms 10. All right, it says a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. Sorry, 1, Psalms 10 and 1. It says, why standest thou afar off, O Lord Yahweh? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? It says, the wicked and his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. And right, and the wicked is talking about Esau Edom, and more so Babylon the Great, right? And because why? The world is given to them, the wicked, and that's Esau Edom, but the Amalek, a tribe of Edom is the head right now in the world, which are the JOO. They run and rule the world, right? So they're over all their Edomite brothers and sisters, So that's the wicked. That's really out there on the forefront causing hell to the people. These JOOs, the banking elites. And America is their hub, right? But hey, at the end of the day, Ecclesiastes chapter 10. We grab that. Says what? Right, because given the opportunities, these same low-level devils will step up, and take their place. Ecclesiastes chapter 10. It says, A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of the man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. Right? And what's happening right now? There's no uproars about nothing. Majority of the people are all down for this LGBTQ, abominable acts, fucking having, bestiality, you know, uh, and all the things that Esau Edom does and push forth, especially here in Babylon the Great, his hub, and that the land over there in Israel, which is totally defiled by those fake JWOs over there, right? It says an unwise king destroyed his people. And that's exactly what Esau Edom is doing, right? Everyone is changing their sex, no children and things are being born, right? And people don't want to marry each other. The family structures is gone, right? People are just killing themselves. The food is defiled, everything. The skies is fucked up. It says, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. Hey, and that goes to us, the hopeful elect, the 144,000, the government body, that's going to rule over the new world, right? It says the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh, and in due time he will set over one that is profitable, right? So the Lord Yahweh Shah is coming, right? He's going to set the kingdom up, and we, the Israelites, the hopeful elect, will rule, right? So moving on. So, the wicked and his lackeys are the same pretty much. It says the wicked and his pride doth persecute the poor, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasteth of his heart desire, and blessed the covetous whom the Lord abhorreth. It says the wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after Yahweh. Yahweh is not in all his thoughts. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. It says, as for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. So that's what Esau is doing. Esau Edom is doing. That's what it's puffing. It says what? To his sight in flame. Esau is basically saying this is what it's going to be, and you should just do it. Just like now what they're doing. They're telling Iran can't have nukes. It's just simple as that. And even with these so-called peace talks regarding Ukraine and Russia, they're telling Russia, all right, Russia, this is what you're going to do, right? You can take this part, you can't take that part. We're still going to make Ukraine a NATO state, and you just have to accept it. Russia's like, hell no, So that's what he's doing to his enemies, the pride in this devil. Right, that's why he's been brought down these last times. And these nations are saying, just like the dude said, what he said? He said, I reject such threats from for security reasons. Pickford said on Monday, I fully respect that the safety of participants is an internal matter of the Russian Federation, but if Mr. Zelensky believes that his statement will force foreign delegations not to come, then he is deeply mistaken. Right, so they're saying these devils are still threatening us, saying what we can and can't do. So what is this saying? Joel 3:9 says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men and let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong. So that's the point. That's the time we're in, right? There's no more puffing at enemies and these devils not biting back, right? They're barking back now. So that was that. Let me grab this. Go back to this article real quick. Right, so moving on, Ukraine's president warned that Moscow's history of violating short-term truces undermines any trust in its latest offer. Right, and they're basically doing tit for tat. Like I said, this video would explain heavily what's happening in this article if you want to watch it, and I'll put it in the description box, right, in the comment section. It says says they kill until May 7th, pause for a couple of comfortable days, then start attacking again on 11th, he said. Right, this is all they're doing. This is back and forth, right? They're just kicking down the can down the road. That's why they have forborne to fight, right? They're not actually doing what they could really do, which is go all in and go all out. And that's the point. Little skirmishes there, they blow up civilian structures, right? But the army is still going good. Anyway, Jeremiah 51:30. Let me see. Actually, Jeremiah 51:25, it says, behold, I'm against thee, O destroying mountain, said the Lord Yahweh, which destroyed all the earth. Who is that? Babylon the Great, America, right? And their military power, right? They have military bases all over the world, right? They're occupying many different countries. It says, behold, I'm against thee, O destroying mountain, said the Lord Yahweh, which destroyed all the earth. And I will stretch out mine hand upon thee and roll thee down from the rocks, and will make thee a burnt mountain. And they shall not take of thee a stone for a corner, nor a stone for foundations, but thou shalt be desolate forever, said the Lord Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai. So, when America is destroyed, there will be nothing left. It says, set ye up a standard in the land, blow the trumpet among the nations, prepare the nations against her, call together against her the kingdoms of Ariat, Menia, and Askenaz, appoint a captain over her, cause the horses to come up as the rough caterpillars. Right, this is Armenia, Germany, and this one is, let me grab it. All right, this one is Turkey. So this is Turkey, right? This is Armenia, and then this is Germany. So and those nations are coming together against Babylon the Great, and that's what it's talking about here. The Most High is preparing these nations against. So we'll see, who goes out to this event here, and even if Babylon the Great attacks, it says, prepare against her the nations with the king of the Medes. Right, and this goes back to what? Ezekiel 38, of course, right? Oh, because what? In Ezekiel 38, it's mentioning the lands. Through history, lands have been conquered and taken over. So it's talking about the lands and the people that belong to those lands now, right? So prepare against her the nations with the king of the Medes. And the Medes goes into Russia, and Russia is currently inhabiting Gog and Magog, the land of Russia, right? And that's who we see in Bible prophecy coming against Babylon the Great in these last days, because we are in the last days. We're measuring the time diligently in itself, right? And we're seeing the signs, right? So yeah, it says, prepare against for the nations with the king of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion, right? And Ezekiel 38 breaks that down. These nations and these current lands are going to be joined with Russia to take down Babylon the Great. And it's clear as day that that's exactly what's happening, right? It says, and the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of the Lord Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation without inhabitant. It says, the mighty men of Babylon have been born to fight. They have remained in their holes. Their might have failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. Right. And pretty much what we see, Babylon the Great is, attacking civilians, even Israel, attacking civilians, civilian structures. Right. They're not actually fighting a war. Like, they're not directly attacking the main targets yet. Iran, Russia, China, right? They're pretty pussyfooting, right? They're pussyfooting around this war, basically. So that's why I'm waiting to see what happens with this thing here, because if you have some high level individuals that come here, we'll see if they actually attack that parade or not. Pretty much. That's it. Blowing a trumpet on that. Jeremiah 50 and 33, it says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives hold them fast, they refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong, the Lord Yahweh, Bashmi Awashai of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. It says, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, said the Lord Yahweh, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. Now, see, okay. So if Iran joins this event, Iran just unleashed a new missile, right? Every day, or every other day, whatever the case may be, Iran and Russia is unveiling new missile systems to come against Babylon the Great. That's why it says what the scriptures say they're going to come against a city that dwells without walls or bars. That's going back to Ezekiel 38. Right, because the missiles that these, that Russia and Iran is making is bypassing all types of, defense systems known to man. Right, a sword, and so that sword is what the Most High Yahweh Bashmi Awashai has created for these other Edomites to have. Right, the nuclear weapons. It says, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, said the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Awashai, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon her horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. See, so they really don't want, that oceanic missile, that new missile that Russia released on, what is it? Ukraine. They really don't want those missiles down there in those mini underground bunkers that Iran has. They really don't want it. They're trying to find some type of way to combat, these people that are actually going to war. But there's no other option. So that's pretty much the point. Lord willing, we're edified from the lesson. I'll say shalom to the whole elect, which consists of men, women, and children. Shalom.